Galand of the Truth, one of the Ten Commandments, and a very interesting both demon and character within the Seven Deadly Sins world. Galand is a very good example of pure physical strength done in a very interesting way. When he was first introduced to the series, he was a very formidable foe, a pretty intimidating powerhouse. I won't get into power level given numbers here because I don't think anybody wants that. Instead, I think it'd be a little bit nicer to talk about essentially what he can do. He mostly, like I said, is just physical offense, but to the point where he focuses a lot on like air slash attacks as well. There's a lot of abilities and techniques that he was able to harness purely just by giving the physical force exuded from his attacks that added air pressure attacks kind of were brought to him as well. So let's go over a little bit of what he's capable of. But first we'll look at his stats. Gallon is within his destructive range, a multi-mountain level, both durability and destruction level. Just that spot between mountain level and large mountain, just in that pretty comfortable area. He has an ability called the Truth, which is his definite only real notable hacks ability, where if you lie in front of him, you'll turn to stone. His resistances include dark magic, darkness magic specifically, and his weaknesses are to light magic. And when it comes to anything of notable skill and traits, he's got to a degree healing and regeneration. If he gets a limb cut off, he can kind of have dark, kind of like this dark magic, kind of reattach it. Close wounds, you have to get rid of his hearts in order to actually kill one of the demons. At least especially the higher ups, I believe they, depending on the levels, depending on how many hearts he has. I'm pretty sure Gallon should have, it's either 3, 4, or 5, somewhere around that area, based off of how strong he is in the rankings of other demons within the Seven Deadly Sins world. And on top, obviously, of being very much a physical fighter, he's got high levels of durability, able to completely shrug off attacks from characters like Diane, who was a very large, heavy hitter herself, and somebody who just kind of came off as her own mostly physically capable character. You can see here that she goes to use an attack, swings. It doesn't, even though it makes contact, it doesn't do any damage to him. He was even able to kick one attack back. The other one he was able just to kind of push away like it did nothing because it didn't hurt him at all. You see an example of the truth when somebody was trying to trick him to leave and lied in front of him, and then they end up turning to stone because that is the counter to, or the kind of the trick that his ability has, because all the Ten Commandments have these abilities, the commandments, and they all do very specific things. Galen's probably being one of the best ones for being the weakest member of the Ten Commandments, which is pretty interesting. He's fast enough that when Merlin tried to teleport him away, he was able to jump out of her range in the time it took for Meliodas to jump, kind of fall to the ground. Very contested kind of distance, but we won't kind of go into that. We'll just regard it as obviously very fast, much faster than any of the characters at the time were capable of. Uh, More to that, he was during that whole kind of encounter, he was shown that Meliodas just attempting to fight him at where he was at was completely futile, and Galan would be able to relatively just dismiss anything that came his way from the the set of where they were at that moment. He's also got a very fun, kind of like laid back and almost sadistically entertaining personality. At one point, when some characters are running away from him, he and his partner decided to play golf with big boulders. Keep in mind, he's like 10 feet tall, so those boulders are probably you could tell just kind of looking at them, they're probably like what, like 8 feet wide, and he's hitting them miles away, and they're covering those miles in a couple seconds. So obviously he's got a lot of physical accuracy kind of to it. The aim that he has, even the probably sight that he can see, on top of just the fact he can hit these giant boulders that far, just shows his physical strength as well, kind of giving that off. He's got normal kind of slashes, really kind of covering it over, including his one strike or one stroke, sorry, that where all it is he does one normal kind of slash down and it cut up like this huge terrain. It really kind of just shows the simplicity yet also very entertaining way that he goes about his way of attack. There's also his dismal scatter cut, which is really just a kind of a large AoE multi-area like lunge where he's just sending these big bladed kind of piercing air blasts to around at the area. And though it doesn't seem to be as powerful as a lot of his other attacks, it definitely seems like it has just a lot of really good AoE, and just like the end result just makes it look like the area got diced up, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool attack from him, and just again kind of shows his lack of creativity, but creativity in a fun way. And when it comes down to it, he can use his ultimate ability, his critical over, which kind of like puts all of his the small amount of magic that he has into kind of like a physical power upgrade. It was enough that when he went and just used his all his strength into a slash, cut mountains like mountaintops away like pretty far, definitely a handful of miles. Just that shockwave alone went and slashed the tops off. And even though he lost that fight, you actually see right here the clean pure cut effects of it from the distance away. And his actually truth affects him as well from that moment. Just him ended up having to flee out of fear of the opponent he was fighting. He himself turned to stone because of the way that his command works. So he can't actually lie in front of himself, which is pretty interesting. That's mostly it for Galand. Like he's very simplistic the way he's designed, but in a very interesting way. So tell me what you think in the description below. Maybe throw in some shots of what you want next in the Clash profiles. I am still getting submissions, and I gotta make a bunch soon. So hopefully that'll go pretty well. But otherwise, like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content. Check out my videos. Want to see other manga and anime things. And appreciate everyone that's already subscribed. Otherwise, thank you very much for listening. Bye.